Oh shit! Are we smoking these?
Yeah.
Okay, it's you. Hope my wife doesn't get mad at me when I come home and she's like, "Why are you taking another shower?" I'm like, "Cause you don't want to smell me." Oh, I hope I don't puke either. By the way, this is
Don't inhale.
I'm saying, but the smoke's gonna be going
No,
around.
I have the fan blowing out.
Will you nip mine for me, Daddy? Oh, that's all you do is a little bit of it. Thank God. I would have taken the whole thing off. Such I usually have other people light my cigars.
This is the coolest part about this.
I know that. I think I actually might be able to light my own cigar for once. This thing's intense.
Alrighty. I got the games here as well. Oh, by the way,
That tastes good, by the way.
very sweet. I had when I was in Vegas with.
Like, this is like I want to eat this thing. I want to eat it.
So when I was testing it, this is too close. So almost pretend that you still have the shield.
Okay. Oh, there's not a shield on it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's a mind fuck.
'Cause
Where's the shield go?
I took it out and put this on it because it kept like blocking our faces. We look like fucking what's his name?
I don't mind it.
The guy from Home Improvement, Wilson. Was that his name?
I'm pretty sure it's Wilson.
But welcome to the Hot Dad Pod. We are finally back in the studio again. As if for those that saw
I need a better light.
my little our little quick post, basically my counterpart had his second kid,
Second child, two boys.
So he had to obviously do that. How are things? I mean, I know it's been recent, but how have things changed? Or have they? It's probably just like having the first one where everyone's like, "Oh, just wait till you have the first one. All your life's gonna fucking change." And yeah, it does, but it ain't a big deal.
First and foremost, baby and mommy are doing great. They're doing fine. Big brother, super excited to be a big brother.
That's always good.
Yep. It's easier, yeah. I guess I was thinking to myself how, like, I guess it's just as difficult as the first time, but you're more prepared this time.
You know what's coming.
Yeah, which means it's easier. I get ultimately, like, I have experience, so it's a little bit, even just the process of it, going to like the hospital, less nerves. I remember like when he was born, being handed to me. Like I remember my firstborn, I was like, okay, don't fuck this up. But now I'm just like, all right, we're good. The Bears play Sunday. Okay, it wasn't. One thing, I had a moment of reflection. So, whatever. I'm sure my wife's okay with me saying that she had a C-section. It was scheduled. He came a couple weeks early, but yeah,
like Dad
yeah, a little premature like Dad. But
that's why we're having this conversation in the first place.
Yeah. Well, science did most of it, but let me take a puff of my cigar. But where was I at? Anyway, so
C-section.
they're taking her to the operating room, and hopefully I'm not talking too close to this. I'm trying not to. Now that you're in my head about I'm too far from the mic, too close to the mic. I'm going on a side tangent here. Anyone take a COVID test before? Right before they gave me the swab. They're like, hey, don't go too deep and don't like you gotta go deep enough, but not too deep. I'm like, what? Like now I'm like, how can you like go too deep with that swab? Like
they should have markers on the swab.
Exactly.
At
I'm
least.
just
like,
it's weird to me.
What's
I'm like,
too deep?
Like,
it depends on the person. Maybe I like getting nosed.
I'm just saying, does my nostril only have a spot that COVID lives in, and I can only if I cross it, I can't. Anyway,
it's in the anus. That's where it hides.
So I'm waiting in the recovery room while they're cutting her open and getting ready to like bring me in. So I'm obviously probably a moment of reflection of how like you prepare 9 months for this moment, and you obviously you have doctor's appointments, and your wife is simply her belly is growing. So it's very obvious a child is on its way, but still the water breaks. A few hours later, you're holding a baby, and you're like, "How did we get here?" Awesome, couldn't be more thrilled. I remember one reason I felt a little apprehensive of having another kid is I didn't feel like I had enough love for my son and now my new son. my new child, absolutely not even the case. Just like with my firstborn, I felt like it brought me and my wife closer, and it didn't feel like it definitely did. Now it's kind of like now the three of us are like, all right, we got to take care of this boy.
You know, it has to be weird. It's even weird for me because I saw a picture of him the other day on Facebook, and I did like a double take. It's like it still hasn't hit me yet. I guess that you have a second one, but that's good. It's good that everybody's healthy.
He looks just like his brother when he was born, and like they're not just.
That's what I was wondering.
There's a little bit like my firstborn's cheeks were a little bigger. He had a little bit more of a big nose, but they're close enough. And when I was holding him, it just felt like I went in a time machine. Like it's because same hospital,
right?
And then all the rooms fucking look the same too. So,
did they have you wait long? Like, did they cut her open? I guess the first time while you were there.
Yeah. So we did not. The first we're talking about the first child.
Yes.
So it was not a planned C-section. It wasn't an emergency C-section either. It just was like after hours of pushing, like the doctor's like, we're like kind of shit or get off the pot. This isn't going to happen. If we don't hurry up and do a C-section, it's going to become a emergency C-section. So with that said, it was a little like touch and go when we got there with the second born because it was like 3 o'clock the water broke. So we got there about 4:30. And like, so the doctor who was originally supposed to do the surgery wasn't in until 7. The doctor that was there at the moment was like, listen, I don't think like we're probably gonna have to do this about 6. Around 6:15 rolls around. The anesthesiologist comes in, a couple nurses. They're like, yeah, so here's what's going on. Well, by the way, we could hear a woman a room down just like fucking wailing, like, ah! Which was I was like, oh my, like this is like she is just like
I had that happen.
Yeah, I remember you telling me. It's the first time I had experienced it. It's a little unsettling, especially
because you're like, oh my god, is that gonna be me? Like,
I mean, it's not gonna be. It felt like you're in like a zombie movie, honestly. Like because like you're like, first of all, hospitals are kind of creepy. Unfortunately, when I think of a hospital, I think the movie Halloween a lot because a lot of it is based. There's several scenes in
any horror movie.
Yeah, good point. And like, it's just you and your wife in the room most time, and you're just. Ah! I'm like, oh god. But anyway, there's an emergency C-section that had to be done. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to like we got to punt you a little bit longer. And then another woman who was having pretty much the same thing we experienced the first time. They're like, this it doesn't look like this baby's coming naturally, so we're gonna have to do a C-section. And if we don't hurry up, she's gonna have an emergency one. We were doing fine. All the vitals were fine for mommy and baby. So they're like, it ended up being about 10:30 when he was born, but it just added a little anxiety to it because like the anesthesiologist was like, he was kind of high strung. He's like in there, he's like, okay, he's like talking about doing the epidural. I learned about a spinal and an epidural. I didn't know the difference. I guess a spinal is what you use when you do it's the same thing. Big needle goes in your spine, but it's just how they basically give you the drug. Epidural is like a slow leak, so you like it just takes away the pain. Spinal, like bottom half of your body, numb, gone. Like they like, all right, hit it, cut the baby out. So he was like kind of going back and forth, like kind of giving her options of what she want. I guess I wish one.
I don't think I want options at that time.
So like again, you could tell he was frazzled.
Yeah.
So upon now that I'm Monday morning quarterback figuring out, he should have just been like, listen, we're doing an epidural because his point was like, hey, I got to put this in, giggity, got to put this in you now because like there's like another C-section going on, and like they need me upstairs in the operating room as well. I might not be available when it's your time to get like cut open. So like I'm gonna put this epidural in now, and we're just do like a slow. That's what he wanted to do was an epidural, but he again was giving her options. Would you rather do spinal or epidural? And kind of actually quizzing her like she was gonna do the surgery,
right?
And in hindsight, like
you're the pro.
Yeah, he should have just taken the bull by the horns, and he was trying to walk her down that path and just giving her to it. She doesn't listen. She doesn't like needles. She doesn't like knives. She doesn't like surgery. Anything like too much information for any of us. Again, you're like you said, you're the pro. You decide. Unfortunately, what happened is this was the worst part for her. Is she ended up having spinal leakage from the epidural, so she had to end up having a spinal headache. It's spinal. Every time they said spinal, all I heard is Mike Tyson in my head saying it's spinal. But anyway, she would get like a migraine headache the second she sat up. She'd lay down, it completely go away. So the trick to fix that was another epidural, but Which I got a front row view of how an epidural works this time. Like it's a fucking like 8-inch. First of all, I don't know
Is
how
the whole thing going?
like not the whole thing, like
Yeah,
but like 8 inches of it is hanging out still. So like I'm like, oh my, what happens? You go too far, too like I'm like that's a lot. Like I feel like the needle could have went through her entire torso.
I was wondering why it's so big. If you're not gonna put the whole thing in. It's a little bit more than the tip, but it wasn't the whole thing. Yeah,
but
all the way to the end.
And then they basically had like she's laying in the fetal position. They got this needle just hanging out of her back. They walk around, draw blood, like a fucking big ass vial of blood, and then they inject the blood through the epidural. It's called a blood patch. Relieve the pain almost instantly. So like it worked out. Ironically, it was the epidural that was, which I've heard before. Like I didn't know why, but I've heard like sometimes women have like I guess they're the controversy.
You said verse.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I can't use my words. Anyway, I've heard some women say like the epidural is worse than the actual pain of labor, and some women don't want to do the epidural because of that. In hindsight, I imagine it's a big fucking needle, and it's kind of I almost felt like the anesthesiologist knew he fucked up. Because he kept kind of explaining how it's kind of a guessing game when they put it in there. And I'm like, I don't really like hearing that. And then like that was the other weird thing.
About it.
Yeah, it was like 2 days later that like we're getting ready to get discharged that day, and all of a sudden she's just like, the second she would like sit up just to nurse our son, you could see her face immediately just look like she wanted to puke from pain. Like it was wild. Let me hit that.
Oh.
But everything. Thrilled, awesome, love being a 2-time daddy. Even she might even have me on hook for going for number 3. I don't know yet.
Ooh, the trifecta. I guess you'll cross that road when you get there, but
it's cool how excited Big Brother is. Though they said that like there is the first 2 weeks usually I guess it's common for the kid to be like yay,
yeah, because it's a new toy, and then it's like fuck this guy.
Okay, he's kind of taking all my attention away,
right.
And there's
once he starts figuring that out, which I don't know how your kid's been, but like my daughter now, they're both the same age. If
like
we
2 weeks apart, they're literally the same due date.
But she's starting to get this like I need attention thing. There's definitely a thing that she's kind of once she hit this going to be 5 now 5 we've talked about in the past the whole like sassiness and all that stuff, but now it's even she's outwardly saying look at me, where it's like all right man, you better bring something to the table if you want my attention. Like I'm not gonna just stare at you while you fucking pick your nose. So I could only imagine if your son's going through something similar like that, once that honeymoon phase of having a brother fades away, he's gonna be like, look at me.
He kind of already entered that a little bit. He kind of feels like he seems like the brother's a toy, so I would almost say kind of pulled back that a little bit. Yeah. So yes, I'm concerned the honeymoon phase. You know that Mad TV skit, that one guy like he was a grown man that acted like a kid. He'd be like, I can't think of Stewie as the character's name or something like that. I don't know. That's how my son acts.
I feel like it's Pete.
Yeah, that's how my son acts when he wants attention. Like immediately.
The star.
Yeah, he just like. It's just so annoying. Yeah, he'll just like
look what I could do.
Yep, like the moment like I'm trying to watch football and like 2 minutes in, he's just like, I'm like, bro, give me 3 hours. Like, let me watch Justin Fields hand this ball off 30 times, okay?
yeah. I feel like every time that I need to just like sit for a fucking second, I have to like make some sort of contract agreement with her. Like, listen, if you just give me 5 fucking minutes, I'll play with you. Just I need 5 minutes of just. I want to hear the lights.
I can tell you the first full day of having both of them was a thing. Like it was, and so the other son, the older one, was at my mom's house for like 3 days, and you know how it is with grandparents. They get to do what they want, and I'm not complaining. That's what grandparents are there for. To make sure he's healthy, he's happy, but like he kind of runs the show, sort of thing. And you could tell that like he wanted to run the show when he got back, and we were tired. Yeah.
How long did you guys stay at the hospital?
Saturday mornings when the water broke, Sunday, Monday. So we left Tuesday night at like 7:30.
Damn, yeah.
which we were going to be discharged earlier, but again, the spinal.
Yeah, that's a long time to be in there. But I guess, what do we talk about today? We can talk about football.
God, this is like one of the.
There's a lot of things.
This was my first day back to work since paternity leave, and so I took care of that. And I was a little stressed coming here because it's like a rainstorm, roads were closed, work was a little annoying. This cigar is really helping settling me down. Thank you. This is like, I could cry. This is so soothing.
There's definitely been some news. News to me of the things we talk about. Activision announced that there is
a new laptop.
Yep.
That's shiny.
Activision announced that they have an anti-cheat.
Oh.
It's called Ricochet. I was hoping
under Rick Ross.
For those that play Call of Duty, we know what Ricochet is. If you kill your teammate, you die.
Yeah, okay.
That would be amazing.
That would be.
You imagine a cheat or like
you just get like booted or you
just die.
It'd be cooler if like the hardware was like the moment they hit the trigger to use the cheat, like their hardware fried.
Yeah, the computer just fucking melts or console. I'm. Like everything that Activision comes out with, I'm not really super excited about. Well, I guess we'll see when we get there. Tyson Fury won the trifecta. I mean, one could argue that he might have won all three, but
I haven't seen a lick of any. I don't know. I know he won, but I have not seen anything from that fight.
I saw the first two, and I saw most clips of the third one.
Every time I see highlights of it looks so fake. Like, they're just such big men when they fall down, and there's that one of Tyson. He's like, it looks like he's already been hit, and Wilder kind of uppercuts him while he's falling forward, and then it doesn't look like Wilder even connects with him, and he just I don't know.
So I have a theory about that. I was talking to my dad about it. Right before that whole scenario, because I saw the longer clip version of that. I always want to say Tyson as Deontay, and I don't know. There's a
Tyson Fury doesn't look like a Tyson.
No, but he was named Tyson because of Mike Tyson.
I assume anyone named Tyson was named after Mike Tyson, but that makes it cooler.
But he cocked him really good.
He had to because he was like falling forward.
No, prior to that.
Okay,
so. My theory was because he didn't really hit him hard enough for him to. I saw the second one again, and he ate some punches. Tyson Fury did, and Deontay obviously, he's known for his power.
I assume both of them are. They're large men.
Yeah, and I was like, man, it doesn't look like he really hit him enough to fall down. It looked like he lost his balance, or my theory. He did it intentionally.
Take a breather?
To take a breather.
Yeah, I know.
It's the best breather because you could sit down for a full, 8,
separate
seconds.
him, go to your corner.
Yep. And it's a good way for him. He knows the fight's on his side already. What's one knockdown going to do? He's already knocked Wilder out twice. So why not take a fall?
That's the equivalent of, God damn it, I don't remember the team. I know it was on like Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. This back in like 04, 03. The New England Patriots were down, I think 6 points, and they were trapped. They were at like the 1 yard line. They had a punt, and they just took a safety. It is in the fourth quarter. They took a safety for the field position. Ended up they then had a punt after the safety, stopped them 3 and out. They ended up getting better field position, went down the field, scored, ended up winning the game. And I just remember like that's what like, okay, listen, we can take a step back real quick because we know we're going to execute going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I thought, or he's lost his balance. He doesn't look like Tyson Fury doesn't look like he could pass like a balance test. So,
no.
And those two fuckers. The second one, Wilder fell down like twice by like losing his balance, even though that's the fight that he had like whatever leg issue. I think it was just
a lot of armor.
I don't remember what happened there, but I think he busted his eardrum. And just lost that equilibrium.
Yeah, brutal.
But the whole time he was like on the ropes. Anyway, but it went the way I thought it was going to go. Here's my other theory. And coincidentally, I was looking for bets earlier that afternoon, and I was like, Vegas was going full on, Tyson Fury winning. So I'm like, well, I don't want to bet $30 to make $5. That's, But then I looked at other bets, and there was one where consecutive rounds in a row, certain windows of consecutive rounds in a row, you had a win. And I was like, man, I wonder if he took that fall just for Vegas to cash in.
Hey, he could have placed a bet,
Yeah, because he did it twice. Both times he fell, it wasn't like, and then he falls. It was like a.
Only I saw on Barstool Logan Paul pick Tyson to win, and I'm like, I can't watch. I can't support. I assumed Tyson. I knew Tyson was the favorite.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know anything about these guys, so I'm not gonna pretend like, oh, well, I know Tyson was gonna win. I just knew he was the favorite.
Yeah.
So once I saw Logan Paul was in it, I'm like, can't support that. Can't support it. Maybe it's Jake Paul. I don't fucking know which one it was.
I mean, listen, no shot to Deontay Wilder. I'm not trying to sound mean or shit talk him or anything like that. He obviously is a good boxer. He had the only 2 losses he's ever had have been with Tyson Fury. My thing with Deontay Wilder is he doesn't box, and he's going against
like Mayweather. He just
boxer.
What do you mean by he doesn't box? He just
throws punches.
Okay, so it's the opposite of Mayweather. He's a technical fighter.
Yeah,
okay.
Deontay Wilder is a puncher.
Yeah.
Tyson is a boxer, so he's jabbing him, doing this shit,
If he doesn't knock him out, he's not going to win. Basically.
Right. And
if you got a jaw that doesn't work.
All he's doing is trying to throw, catch him with a haymaker. I'm like, that might work, and it has worked, obviously, because of your record. But it doesn't work when there's someone who's maybe as good, better, but now also boxes. And I mean, for as big as Tyson is, he's fast as fuck. He's dodging and ducking, and he can't touch him. And he has a jaw, obviously, because he has taken some of Deontay's shots and just fucking gets up. There's nothing. So, but yeah, that was. There have been people shitting on that fight.
I've only heard nothing but good things.
But again, that's a minority. For the most part, people are putting it up there in the top, possibly top 5, definitely top 10 of best ever trilogies.
Certainly, and then boxing has been kind of fading. It's not like in the 90s. There's must-see fights, especially the heavyweight fights. And it could be just a sign of the times and everything. I'm not saying the fighters are worse now, or maybe there's just too much entertainment out there. Obviously, UFC, MMA hurts that, because I personally find that combat sport more entertaining. Not that I watch a lot of it either, but I don't. I see Tyson Fury and Wilder, and I'm like, that just doesn't seem like as sexy to me as Tyson Holyfield, But again, that's just me.
It's also the time. I mean, we've talked about this in the past too, that sports have, any sport has its up and downs, and I think boxing was hurt a lot by just the way they did things and the not staged, but one could make the accusation that a lot of that shit was fixed, and there's a lot of weird shit going on during the 90s. I think it's when boxing started to really plummet.
At the very minimum, they were more in the business of promotion than they were putting the 2 best fighters out there. It's all about getting the most money, which whatever, right? That's kind of that's the point of the sport.
And then the pay-per-views didn't really carry the weight.
It's also
how much,
pay-per-view is, I imagine, a dying dying business.
Yeah. I mean, now with all the streaming stuff, I mean, I guess
it's kind of being hidden. Yeah, it's kind of being instead of the pay-per-view. Now it's get Fox Sports app and get the pay-per-view. Pay-per-view doesn't need it just means a boxing fight.
Right,
it doesn't mean you pay for it and then you view it. It's just the term they use now.
Yeah. Now they're pay for the access.
There you go.
Yeah, to watch it. Which, I mean, ultimately it is what it is, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because your Conor McGregor's, your Tyson Fury are very. I don't think Tyson Fury talks as much shit though. He will retaliate. Wilder was talking shit, so he has no problem retaliating.
It's part of the promotion. I don't get worked up when they talk shit.
But when I say it's a double-edged sword, it's because ultimately it's going to need more and more shit talking and more shit talking, you know, to the point where it'll never, ultimately there's going to be a falling out of how much promotion there is to what the end result is.
Nothing annoys me more. I shouldn't say that's a bit of it, but I do. It discredits it for sure when you see like two guys. It's getting close. Anyway, two guys talking shit to each other, like whatever, fucking kill your family sort of thing, and then after the fight they're hugging. I'm like, okay, come, I get. They're like, look, we just got paid, like you know, whatever, like that. I want to see them in each other's face when it's over again. You know, like I want to see them talking shit. Like I loved the ending to, I shouldn't say the ending, but like McGregor, who did he lose to last time?
Dustin Poirier.
They clearly don't like each other.
No,
it's evident.
Or they do, and it's secret.
Or then they're at least they've committed to the gimmick all the way.
Yeah. I mean, Dustin Poirier, when he's been asked about Conor McGregor, he has nothing but nice things to say about him. Mm-hmm. They asked him the other day, like, who's the hardest puncher that you've ever faced, and he's like, oh, Conor, hands down.
Sure.
Where there like really was hate there, even before the second fight, not the one he broke his leg, but the one prior to that. Like they were all friendly and shit prior to that. I think a lot of it's for the money. I just ultimately it's what's the end game? Like you can't. It's like the WWE in the 90s where it was like there was so much fucking hype, but then obviously you can hit people with chairs. It's all fake, but but then when they got rid of that, then it was like, oh,
it's just eventually
what
like
now?
Eventually like, what are you gonna, if you want to use that as like you keep hitting with the chairs, what are you gonna do now? Use a fucking chainsaw to cut their leg off? Like they're like, it's usually what drives me crazy with it just wish like usually like an action show, you know.
4 stunners. Remember when they started using like a shit ton of like specials?
Mm-hmm. Like you got to kind of pull it back to make it mean something again.
Right. I just noticed, by the way, as we've been talking, the spread for tomorrow's game went from 6.5 to 7.
I'm
surprised it's not 10.
Tampa's a favorite, right? I don't know. I haven't even looked at this week's games.
So we got Tampa Bay against Philly. I'm surprised it's only at 7. Unless
they're in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's at 7. I mean, I would. That seems like real ripe for a Tampa Bay beatdown. It's just not a good matchup for Philadelphia. It's just not a good matchup for them at all. I don't think Philadelphia is an awful team, and they do have the type of running game that maybe they can keep Tampa off the field and try to control the clock. I just don't think they can.
I think they're gonna beat the fuck out of them.
I just don't think they can stop Tampa on offense.
Yeah,
yeah. That's if I had to go one way, I would still take the 7 points. But what's the over?
52.5.
Oof, that's a high. I mean, Tampa might score 40 themselves.
The only thing is Tampa Bay's definitely suffering a little bit on the corner situation. I think they've lost all 3, so I don't know how well they are when it comes to defense. So I could see that over happening. I mean, I just feel like they're just going to, I mean, that offense is going to be...
The thing is, like, they have a good pass rush, and Hurts is the type of QB that, like, can get away. Like, he can have you over pursue and kill you, just murder you with his feet, and they might be able to control the ball that way. It's Thursday night games are weird, too, just because guys are still healing from the week. But
it's a short week for them.
Yep. I don't know how beat up Tampa... I know Tampa laid the smack down, but again, I don't know how banged up and bruised they are, so they might be moving a little slower, step behind. But same thing applies for Philadelphia. Usually, though, banged up, it hurts bringing the better, more talented team down to that level. Tom
Brady's arm is a little sore from all the fucking touchdowns he threw.
He hurt his hand or something. I heard
too much flick.
I think as my buddy Nate, we were talking about how like Tom Brady like fucked up his hand. He just puts it like during, I think is in the middle of the game. He just basically put it in like a bucket of ice.
He said it was hot.
Okay. And he's like, and then like Garoppolo just has a bruised calf. He can't fucking play. He's like, what the fuck? But I still think the Garoppolo bruised calf is more to do with trying to get Trey Lance out there. But whatever. It's just weird how like he finished the game and all of a sudden he's on the injury report with the bruised calf.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very lucrative week. I won like $650 last week. I was on fire last week.
Wow.
I threw I got real close to a real monster one too. But I finally was like, you know what? I picked the 5 games I like the most, and I was just like $100 here, $100 there.
I keep missing on. I've been shortening up the parlays, so I don't do anything fucking crazy. And I keep missing one game. Mm-hmm. I keep losing by one. as I nose fuck the mic, I keep missing one. Like 2 weeks ago, it was the Titans. Last week,
yeah, Titans fucked up a lot of people's parlays that week.
I think last week was Carolina. Mm-hmm. Or who were they going against?
Carolina lost. I'm trying to think who they lost to the Saints.
The Saints. So I was going for Carolina. I guess that wasn't like a no-brainer. It was obviously it has it.
I don't think I took Carolina in a teaser, which means it gives you extra 6 points to the total. So they ended up being +3 for me, which they lost by 3, so I ended up washing.
Nice.
And I ended up hitting that teaser, by the way, with Baltimore winning.
Okay. I
was sweating that one out. I had
a close one.
Yeah, when the Chargers were down by like 13, I went and threw $50 at them to win. That turned around and won me like 120.
And then I did another like player touchdown parlay, missed it by 1. Sanders from the Eagles. Oh. That would have been 600. Yeah, like I'm so fucking close to like making one of these. I gotta find out what's that one that's keeping me. Barney wants to just make the same bet and then swap the one I have in question.
I threw $100 at Joe Burrow to throw a touchdown or not a touchdown, to throw a pass more than 36.5 yards, which he looked like he died on the field. He got fucking laid out and looked like, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, there's players that were like kneeling, like, after he got hit. I'm like, fuck, he's like paralyzed or something. I'm like, I definitely thought he was concussed. At the very minimum, I'm like, well, there goes that fucking bet. Especially after he just missed one a few plays before that. Anyway, it was on a 3rd down play. He comes back the next drive, 70-yard touchdown, like the very first pass, which was like a cunt hair from being picked off. I
saw that too. I was like, oh fuck, he got. That might have been when I sent you that message. Like, do they call for head-to-head anymore? Because I thought
don't think he got hit in the helmet on that one, but he got like smashed. He got hit a lot that game.
It's when he flipped and landed like on the side of the side.
Like he was, but he also dived forward. I do wonder how they do call it helmet to helmet. Who knows? Like they've had some bad ones. So against the Bears, Justin Fields got like tapped in the head and they called a penalty. Which whatever, awesome that it was for the Bears. But I'm like, man, it was such a bullshit. Like he barely got tapped. It was clearly he was swatting for the ball and barely tapped him in the head. And I don't even know if he actually hit his face. He actually might have hit his shoulder pads. I'm like. They're never going to do it, but I think the helmet the hitting the quarterback in the helmet, even roughing the quarterback, should be immediately reviewed every time. They have the technology to immediately like look at that and be like, okay, never mind, that's not a penalty, like, because it's just sometimes unless
it's like if it's blatant,
that's right. And you again, if it's blatant, you should immediately on the replay be like, oh yep, yeah, it's a penalty. But like sometimes like these are large men hitting each other and in real time it looks nasty.
Right. So speaking about the Bears, how do you think they're going to do against the Packers? Can they? I guess it's not about the defense necessarily, but can the offense keep the defense sitting down and catching their breath enough? Yeah, because 14 points ain't going to make it.
No, not at all. Packers defense sucks.
Yep.
But still, they this. It kind of feels like this is like, all right, Justin. It's time to let you loose. We've had that. I mean, they could still run the ball well against them and just keep. Listen, if they did it exactly like against Vegas and just keep ripping 6 and 7 yard carries, then keep doing. That's the dream scenario because it keeps the defense off the field. It wears down the Packers defense. But yeah, 14 points is not enough, and the likelihood of Aaron Rodgers giving you like a defensive touchdown is. I'm not saying it's impossible. Kind of slim. I do like the matchup. I really do.
They are in Chicago.
It's hard for me to listen. I'm a battered Bears fan. It's hard for me when I see Aaron Rodgers. I just immediately flinch. So it's hard for me to say, oh, they're gonna win. I feel very good about the matchup. The Bears have been playing very good defense, but Green Bay is gonna get. They're not playing good enough defense that Green Bay is not gonna get theirs. The offense, if the offense can get like 24 points, I think the Bears win. That's kind of a big if at this point.
I think this is the game that gets us all to hate Nagy again. The Detroit one was the one where like, okay, and then this one's the one where he just rips your soul out. Because I agree, the way you beat Green Bay is releasing Fields. Like you gotta score. And I just feel like they're going to go with their little, very super conservative play calling, and it's just not going to cut it.
I'm not concerned about that. One, Nagy does not call plays anymore, and it's very evident. It's very evident that he doesn't call plays anymore. He still has his fingers, for sure. He still is part of the game plan. I'm not going to pretend he doesn't. Yeah. It is hilarious to be talking about your head coach. And most head coaches actually don't call plays, but he is still part of he's in the offensive meetings deciding how to attack this defense. Right. They need to at least try to run the ball. Fields is at his most dangerous with play action, for sure. That's just it's kind of like football 101. You want to give your rookie quarterback some relief, run the ball, play action, pulls up the linebackers, take your shots. It is good that it's at home because Fields he's looked bad on the road. He has. He struggled just to call plays in the huddle. He's struggled with that on the road where noise is a problem. While it's Chicago, and it's also sometimes a problem because the fans are stupid. But he's going against Detroit. I don't really think Detroit's defense is much worse than the Packers' defense. Their offense, actually, the Lions' offense has been pretty good, but they always have that play or two that they kill themselves. Packers rarely do that. So you just Rodgers is going to get his. It really comes down to. So what will make me hate Nagy is if Fields still looks a little unprepared, and it just feels like if you started him week one, if he just was put in the offense week one, if the offense was going through Bill Lazor and you guys had your identity of we're going to run the ball, and take shots with play action, and this is now the 5th, 6th week that you're in this offense. Maybe he looks differently, but this is week 3 now. So it just feels like the preparation all those weeks prior, do we see this week where that hurt that they didn't have that? So I'm not willing to just dump all over Nagy premature, but I'm not dumb. If they lose and look bad, I'm going to dump on Nagy. I mean, I feel good right now because it came off of so when in games that Nagy has been a underdog of 3 points or more, he was 1-14. He's now 2-14 because he just beat the Raiders, against which, again, I also think it has more to do with the Raiders being who I thought they were. It helps that there's obviously some turmoil going on that week. I still don't know if that's the biggest reason they performed the way they did. This is the team I thought they were. They're an inconsistent team. Yeah,
they were the team last year where they would beat Tampa Bay, and but then shit the bed on a team that they should have no problem with.
They just happen to have their 2 big games early in the season already. Yeah. But Green Bay really there's a pattern of behavior with that defense now. That first week when Rodgers looked like a turd and the defense was bad, I wasn't the Saints just butt fucked them. I'm like, okay, I know this isn't going to continue, but they're definitely. This division's for the taking, and if Fields takes that next step, that's the X factor. I don't want to say I think Fields is going to dominate them because I kind of got to see it first. But man, would it be nice if against the Pack, this is the day we finally take the North.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously if they win on Sunday, it will make a lot of things more hopeful. Mm-hmm. Hope would be we could do this. I mean, I don't know about a Super Bowl, but we we could fuck around and make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, if they beat the Packers, I think the Bears are odds-on favorite to win the division. Now, again, it's still a long season.
Right.
Packers will adjust. I'm not going to just... But it will be a big... whoever wins this game is in first place in the North.
Yeah.
The Bears do have they then, I think, get Tampa next week. I think then Pittsburgh, then a bye week, and then Baltimore. Like, they have a tough go these days. So that's why this Vegas one was so huge. If they lost to Vegas, oh man, this next stretch would be. But if they can take one from the Packers, all of a sudden you're like, okay, if they can maybe, I feel good about their matchup against Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh's still a good football team that you can't just take lightly. I don't feel good about them against Tampa, especially with how much I've heard. Like, after fucking Tampa won the Super Bowl, they still talked about that Bears loss. Like, they talked, like, that was they circle the wagon point for them.
Where are they playing that game?
I think in Tampa. I'm pretty sure it's in Tampa.
I would have liked to see Tom Brady live. That would have been.
Yeah. No, you can still go to Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna play for the next decade. You still got a shot. Like
that commercial where what's her name? Giselle says, "Hey, we need to talk," or something like that. And he's like, "What? There's nothing to talk about. I'm playing for another 10 years."
I saw like a tweet of like, look at the future of the NFL with Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, and Tom Brady for this next decade. like yeah, it's.
I mean, this fucker's going backwards. Like he I remember how bad he looked the last year at New England.
Yeah, no.
And then ever since that, I was like, oh shit, he got 10 years back.
I legit listen, eat crow. That last year, I was like, listen, let me take this two routes. If the Bears signed him, I'll be like, yeah! Like, I'll be like, oh, we got Tom Brady. But when I won't lie, like, part of me was like, like, because I then saw like, okay, I don't want Tom Brady. Like, it would be just the Bears to get Tom Brady, and all of a sudden we get him for, the ugly years, like the Wizard Jordan. Like, no one in Washington on the Washington Wizards were like, oh, look how awesome Michael Jordan is. He's doing these 20 points a game on 40 shots are awesome. But yeah, I mean, I wish he was a Bear.
I mean, I don't think he would have had the same success though.
Oh, I mean, not like, but I do think he would still. I think for sure they would have been a contender.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, he just a weapon. But then again, like, that's the thing. Like, look at all the guys that. They brought Gronk after that. Antonio Brown came after that. Leonard Fournette came.
Antonio Brown has been a fucking stud.
That's the thing. Like, one thing that kind of triggers me a little bit when everyone's like, "Oh, look how Jameson, they had the same team." I'm like, okay, they didn't have the exact. I'm not doubting the Tom Brady's greatest of all time, whatever. Yeah. But and part of the reason being greatest of all time, people want to come play with you, and so that's what happened to the Bears.
People want to flock over to Winston.
Yeah,
because he brought those fuckers to the team.
Yeah, for sure.
He went to Antonio Brown's house. Was like, hey, listen.
Antonio Brown lived with him in Tampa. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know if the Bears would have brought Antonio Brown in. They would have definitely traded for Gronk, especially what they gave up for him. Yeah, they'd be like, oh yeah. Ryan Pace was like, I'll give him another first-round pick for him. Like,
and that's a 2 for 2 because they needed a tight end anyway, so that kind of kills two birds.
Even Fournette, like David Montgomery, who is an exceptional running back, it'd be nice to have a Leonard. Like, it'd just be, you can't have enough running backs. And actually, I think the Bears have pretty good depth now, but the offensive line, that would have been but fucking. Someone, they probably would have been able to find someone, because Tom would have been called him up, hey, yo, listen, just take league minimum and I'll give you fucking some of Giselle's paycheck. By the way, my wife also makes $500 million. I'm okay.
Switching things over to baseball, White Sox have been eliminated.
Yeah, that
was quick.
I am not enjoying I actually think they're a fun team. However, one thing I am slightly enjoying is just listening to another team just being shambles right now. It's nice to just kind of not have that feel. Like, the Cubs season ended and I was just like, whatever, man, it's over. It's okay.
Good riddance.
Yeah. But I don't miss that, all of a sudden that just knife to the gut of your season just being tore apart, and listening just double
to the Astros of all people.
Yeah, to just second guess everything your manager did and why these pitchers didn't work out, and pretty much all the moves they made at mid-season has kind of killed them. Yeah. Kimbrel hadn't looked good. Caesar, is it Rodriguez? Goddamn, on the radio they always say his name wrong as a joke, and now I think it's Hernandez, Caesar Hernandez. But I think the guy on the Danny Parkins, I think, called him Cesar Rodriguez, and now I'm like, fuck, which one is it? Which one is it? Yeah. He didn't look very, very good. I feel bad for him. I know that feeling.
Fuck them. Yeah. All these White Sox fans that I know that I follow on Facebook, all year long they were saying, it's just going to be a walk in the park. And now they're saying, yeah, got a lot of holes in the lineup we need to get fixed by next year. I'm like, whoa. What happened to your immaculate team? You kind of sound a little bit like Deontay Wilder right now. His hits too hard. This is bullshit. You know?
But it is nice to not have that be my team. And you know what? I saw a lot of White Sox people on like my Facebook feed shit on the Cubs when they went down. I'm not going to go that route. I actually was rooting for them. I shouldn't say rooting for them, but I wasn't rooting against them. I really didn't have... The only rooting interest I had was on the Milwaukee Brewers because I made a $5 bet like 2 months of the season that would have turned into like $200. So like that's the only rooting interest I had. Now, so I don't know where the Giants and Dodgers are at now. Like
they're tied 2-2.
So I'm on Team KB.
Yeah,
that's who I'm rooting for at the moment. One thing I guess one thing that triggered me a little bit is I hate myself for not betting Bryant to hit a home run that first game because I was gonna. I parlayed Schwarber and Rizzo their first game, and I meant to put a bet on Bryant just to hit a home run. I forgot about it, and he did.
All three of them?
Yeah.
That would have been a nasty parlay.
Everyone on like Schwarber, if you want to count Jock Peterson as well, who's... Anyway, they're batting like 340 right now, the combination of them in the playoffs. And like I think it's just Schwarber, Rizzo, and Bryant that are batting like 340 with like 3 home runs. And like this guy tweeted like, "This is what these 3 Cubs are doing." Turns out they're pretty good. I'm like, okay, I get that, but also these 3 guys were terrible the last 3 seasons. Like the last 3 postseason, they were awful. So like you can't like. I wish they were Cubs still too. I do wish they were, but like they also did not come through. Right.
But is that them or is that the Cubs? You know, like that goes back to the whole. Is it the Bears or is it Fields? Like I feel like there's always this dark cloud sometimes over the Chicago teams, where I always my first knee jerk reaction is to go against the team, like as in the owners and the VPs and all that shit, and not the players. An article I sent you the other day about Kris Bryant. Just basically summing it up, he's enjoying life at playing for the Giants. That's
winning does that.
Yeah, well, there's that. But it's like he wasn't like he liked being a Cub. But there's a difference between. Here's a perfect example. I liked my position, my last position at the job I worked at. I liked my position. I liked the brand and the items that I was selling, but I fucking hated everything else about it, you know? So is there a little bit of that? Does that affect your performance? It affected mine. As a professional athlete, obviously you're getting paid good money and there's, it's a business, but if you don't have fun, or if you're not enjoying your time, that's gonna slowly leak out into your performance. I
get the thinking Chicago teams and everything are loser mentality, because it's just what I think it has more to do with. We're not in like the ecosystem of another city or another teams. Personally, I'm sure and yes, Cubs, like it's just 108 years.
Yeah,
kind of hard to get away from that. Bears haven't really done a whole lot since '85. No. It's hard to get away from that.
Blackhawks, they had those
90s. Even Blackhawks had. You remove like the 2010, like the aughts, whatever. Blackhawks really don't have a very good shooter. White Sox again, same thing. They snuck in 05. It's just there's not a long history of like dominance. And it's just there's such a
and not even winning, contending.
Yeah, it's always like blips on the radar here and there, and it's just such a feverish fan base too. Like Chicago fans love their sports. I said all the stuff with Bryant. I think the Cubs treat him pretty good. I get he definitely has things to have. There's certainly gripes for sure. I'm not going to take that from him. But I think a lot of the outside noise came from just median fans. We've seen the way like fans have shit on him, like for sure. I'm almost positive we've had podcasts talking about how like motherfuckers just. Kris Bryant's toughness has been questioned so many times in the city. It's not fucking Theo Epstein questioning his toughness at all.
Right.
Like it's not Jed Hoyer doing it. Like I'm sure it really hurt them to get rid of him. And I also like I think if Jed Hoyer had it his way, and he was like staying in L.A. and the money didn't matter, Kris Bryant would still be a Chicago Cub because they would have gave him like $250. Like they would not have let him walk away because there's just no budget, you know.
Right.
But I guess I ultimately, in hindsight's 2020, I'm sure if you asked him in like the summer of 2016, do you love Chicago? He's probably like, oh yeah, this is the greatest city in the world. Like they just came off of a Rookie of the Year, then an MVP, and then a World Series. It's hard. Like he's on the best team in baseball right now. They won 108 games. Like it's hard not, and he's probably feeling the love, and he probably does. Like he's just they're really happy in San Francisco, and they're being real nice to him. You know, like they're probably not like. He strikes out in the first inning, and he's probably getting fucking booed at this immediately in Chicago.
Right.
With that said, when he hits a home run, they probably fucking lose their mind too. But like, it's a volatile situation. It's always to an extreme. On San Francisco, it's probably nothing but love, and they're simply winning. Like it's a beautiful city.
Right.
Not saying Chicago isn't either, but it's just. Everything right now in San Francisco is looking up, and he should feel the way he does, and I am happy for him. What kills me the most is how sweet he looks in that 23 uniform. And that doesn't look like, if you ask me, I'm like, yeah, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame as a Giant.
Well, that's up to them if they want to go ahead and extend him. Because I was talking to someone at work about that because they were like, well, you get booed in other cities. And I was like, there are certain cities that treat their players way worse.
It's just a more feverish fan base.
New York is one of them. Chicago's one of them. Mm-hmm. Philly.
Yep, Philly. Like Philly's known for it.
Right. So, and if he's fine, if he's the type of person that affects him, because I think a lot of people are really quick to say, well, fuck him. We should deal with it. He's getting paid.
It's human nature.
Yeah,
guys.
that's the fat fuck fucking, saying, oh, this guy sucks.
I'm not saying you should give him like a standing ovation when he strikes out and everything, but like
they were shitting on him.
Yeah, they could. There's been an undercurrent to shit on him since the beginning of like 2018.
Yeah.
Like people there are like it's so crazy because he's just such a fucking likable human being.
Yeah.
He's just he is the guy you want your daughter to bring home.
And that might be his problem. Like he's just too nice, so this shit does affect him. He was talking about in the article how he lost a. Sorry, I got a burp halfway up my throat. Him and his wife at the time, I'm guessing.
Yes, his wife.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know if they were dating. Maybe.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think they were married.
Yeah. But they lost a kid. I mean, she had a miscarriage, and he was describing that room, how it just like everything got sucked out of there, and then he had to go and play, and it, without him saying it, but basically like, and then hear the shit, where it's like, God damn it, like I just. And
pretend you're at your job and something like that happens, and like you're sitting there with whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden 30,000 people just say you fucked up and missed a sale. Like, God damn it, I fucked up the sale. Never. You're a fucking loser, you idiot. Go die.
Yeah, exactly. So, are there people that just tune that shit out? Yeah, but we're not all the same. There's people that are more emotional and carry, their feelings on their sleeves. Right. And you know what? If he's happier somewhere else, maybe that's something that maybe Chicagoans here we could maybe try to work on and not be like these. I remember when Bodie came out, we had people saying, "Oh fuck, shit, we don't need Bryant, we got Bodie," and it's like, shut the fuck up, you idiot! Like it's just such a dumb, asinine thing to say. But as Chicago fans, for the most part, we're very knee jerk reactions on a lot of things. We don't stop to think if what we're saying is smart or dumb or fucking, and we just say it, and then
I think I personally think every fan base is like that. There's more of us, and we're louder. That's all. That's what whatever I've had this debate with many of my friends about it. I just think there's just a lot more of them.
There's a lot of Chicago fans. I mean, there's tons of Chicago. There's more Chicago fans sometimes at stadiums across the fucking country than there are the team they're playing. So, and again, maybe a smaller market like San Francisco, might be exactly what he needs. Boston, by the way, that's another one where they could be...
especially if you're black.
Yeah. I heard they say certain comments.
Yeah, I hear it's tough.
But that's another country. That's another...
It kind of feels like one.
That's another state or team-based or team city that, if your players are slightly underperforming, they're going to let you know
One
about
thing
it.
I did love about the Boston fans is they cheered their ass off for Brady, but the second time he went out there for his first snap, they booed him. And I'm like, you know what? That's the perfect way. Pre-game, they're like, thank you, everything you've done. Game started, you're the enemy. I'm like, you know what? I kind of thought it was awesome.
Yeah. That is neat when they when Pujols went to St. Louis, he got a standing ovation, and then they even called him out for a curtain call when he hit a home run. The first time when he was with Anaheim, when he was with LA, they gave him a standing ovation again because he's it's his last year, but he also hit a home run. They did not curtain
I think
call.
baseball is a little different in the sense too, like
that's people aren't trying to kill each other.
Yeah, and like it's 162 games. You know, if Pujols has a game, who cares? Like it's just that's what kind of makes the sport so beautiful. And we saw when Bryant came back the tears in his eyes, and the fans treated him real good. Same thing. Schwarber came back. Lester had an awesome standing ovation too. Did Rizzo never got his?
Because the Yankees,
and he had COVID against when we played the White Sox. He had COVID.
Yeah,
that's right. But
that sucked too.
Yeah, I was especially because he would have played in the Field of Dreams game.
Which was a fucking home run derby.
Fucking cool. Like I'm like, wow, baseball actually did something cool.
Yeah,
good for them. They finally got one.
I almost wish so for next year. I hope they do. Well, we all know who's playing next year, but like they should do this a few times every season because I think hockey when they do their winter classic. I think it's not just one game. I think it's a couple or something like that.
I think it's only one game. I still like. Is the winter? Do people feel like the Winter Classic's overplayed at this point? I thought that was a thing. Like I don't really watch hockey.
We don't watch hockey
I don't know
as much as we used to.
But I remember the one of the first ones is Chicago and it snowed during the snowing out there. I remember like, that was kind of a.
That was good. Was that against the Flyers? I think. I think it was Detroit.
I know.
Some big ass snowflakes.
Yeah, that's kind of you don't see that,
Right.
I think like basketball should do it and play the Rutgers or something like that, but like don't do it too much.
What sucks about basketball is if it's like a windy day.
There's also you can't like fill up like. So it was cool what they did with the Field of Dreams, but I the whole time thought they were going to play in the actual Field of Dreams field. I'm like, man, that's like a little league park. Right?
It's definitely. I mean, the bases are 90 feet, but the outfield is a short fucking. It's essentially a softball field.
Sure, and so but it worked. What they did was perfect. They had enough
side by side.
Even if maybe they want to do like a series there or something, I'm here for it. But I don't want them to overdo it.
Ooh, the World's because of weather, but like the World Series gets played in a neutral environment.
I don't know if that's the. Okay,
I do like the fact that you could go home and away.
Yeah, I would get you. I don't want to. I don't hate that. I'm indifferent for that at the moment because that ultimately the only thing that sucks about that is sometimes Tampa last year isn't a neutral site, but it wasn't because Tampa made it the Super Bowl, and like the Bears, unless they actually build a stadium in Arlington Heights, like they're never gonna have like on their home turf sort of thing. It's generally going to be in a nice weather, in a dome or whatever. I almost feel like the Super Bowl should the NFL should like go to like New Mexico and build their own giant facility and just play it there. I just assume there's a lot of land in New Mexico to build. That's why I threw that out there.
Wyoming.
There you go. Like baseball, it's just like you go to a neutral site inside a dome. It's I guess it probably. I was going to throw like the Diamondbacks versus the Yankees, but you know what? Like when they play in Arizona, it's probably still majority Yankee fans because the teams I'm talking about.
Yep.
With that said, though, like
I think their spring training facility is also in Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even so, that makes it's like Cubs.
I think it could also be Sarasota, and
regardless, they have a large fan base. Yeah. They travel well.
Look it up.
With that said, like, I mean, fans do. They do. Home field is huge in baseball. It's just so much emotion on every pitch. There's no way that you just don't get so fucking amped on every pitch.
They're in Tampa.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, regardless, I'm positive. I would be willing to wager Arizona fans. There's more Yankee fans overall.
Oh, yeah.
In the state of Arizona than there are
100%.
Diamondback fans.
I would argue the Chicago Cubs is the same thing.
Yeah,
because they for sure are in Arizona.
Sure, yeah. Maybe, or at the very minimum, maybe not more, but like, yeah, there might be more Diamondback fans, but like real fans. I'm not like not the Joe Blow who just wears a Diamondbacks hat when they're good,
right? Or when they're in the postseason, all of a sudden there's
I got my we won the division hat.
Yeah, like some of our friends from Tampa Bay when the Lightning were going against Chicago, where it's like, bro, you don't watch hockey at all. You're not even. I would bet you're not even watching the games right now.
Yeah, I'd bet you couldn't spell one person's name on that team.
Yeah, fuck out of here. Oh shit, what I was gonna say. You mentioned the Patriots against Tampa Bay. Man, was there so much hype for that game? It sucked that it was pouring literally all fucking 4 quarters. Like,
yep.
Because if it was like perfect weather, I feel like Brady would have wanted to just destroy.
I think I was expecting a bloodbath, and the only reason it wasn't was because of rain, and no one can tell me different.
Yep. This whole like, they're playing him really good defense. No, it's the weather sucked, man, and for both sides. Same thing for I can't think of his name.
Mac Jones.
Yeah,
it played perfectly. Like
it wasn't a drizzle. It was absolutely fucking just coming down.
Patriots were never going to go down the field and attack Tampa, so the weather just played perfectly into their hands. Yeah, and they lost anyway. So,
but anyways, then we're just gonna wrap it up there. It was nice to come back finally.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the cigar. It was set the tone.
Yep, and I've had that in the past. When I went to Vegas, a woman I worked with, her husband had those, and I was like, sure, I'll have one. And then he said, "Do you want this one?" I forgot what it was. And then, "Do you want like a sweet one?" I'm like, "I'll take the sweet one." Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what that was.
Speaking of Vegas, we're wrapping it up. But our buddy Steve that we've mentioned doing Vegas trip said, so there's the Circa casino has like the biggest sports book in the world. It's like a poolside one. It's such a genius fucking concept because it has this big screen. You can watch all these games, and it's out in this beautiful pool. So like your wife or girlfriend or escort, you can just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna watch the game. You're already gonna kick it by the pool anyway. Boom, let's go."
Win-win.
And he said next year he's gonna do it. I'm like, I need to be a part of that.
I'm guessing he's gonna do it during football season, right?
That's the other thing that's tricky for me. I was thinking about because you're going to want to do it closer to pool season. And I know October, it's still kind of pool, but it's not really pool season as much. And I would rather it be in October because both my children are born in September. So I could still find a weekend to just
it's a quick getaway. We're not going there for a week or anything like that. Let me see what Vegas is right now. Weather-wise, 66.
Yeah, I know. It's just I know like it's obviously July, August is like the pool. I know it's not like it's still a hot weather city, but like August, July, September is like primo time to go there. But like if you want to I don't want to go there and watch like 6 baseball games. I'm not just going to be into that. Right. I want to go like I'm cool I just want to go there Saturday, watch college football all day. Sunday, watch pros all day. Like
when's the season start?
Football?
Yeah.
Usually it's the second. I think it's usually the second weekend into September. It's usually the Labor Day weekend's the first weekend. It's usually the following weekend.
I mean, you can roll the dice and do it like week 2.
Yeah. So the other thing is like week 1 is probably the best time to go, but it's also probably like the most expensive. Like that's probably everyone's gearing for that shit.
Well, and week 1 of football, if it's 2 weeks into September, that's when our kids' birthdays are, and it's normally on the weekends.
Well,
but week 2 would probably push us to like the 20-ish.
I think week 2 would be like your daughter's birthday, because my son's birthday is the first weekend of September.
Yeah.
So hers is the third weekend of September, which would be week 2. And then my other son's birthday would be week 4, or would be week 3. Not that like, listen. So
yeah,
like,
mine was week 3.
Yep. Oh, was it week 3? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe then is Labor Day weekend the first?
That's the 30th Monday of August.
Okay, so
that
Labor Day weekend was like the
week
beginning
1 of September.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was.
I guess it depends where like how the month of September lays out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure even if we go like week 4 of September to 25th, or whenever week 4 is.
Yeah, September the 25th is my second born's birthday. So.
Well, October week 1, it might still be a little warmer.
I'm cool, and then my wife would not be down with that. I'd be cool with celebrating it like the 17th. Oh, that's your not.
Yeah.
Hey, how about we just combine all 3 of their birthdays one day?
Yeah, well, yeah, and then run out. Yeah, it's doable.
We'll
figure it out. Even if we do it like. Do like the birthday the week prior, like the weekend prior sort of thing. Or again, week 1 of October. I'm guessing the weather's still. I mean, it's cooler today. It's still.
What was it 2 days ago?
Yeah. Every other day on the thing looks like it's been or it's going to be in the high 70s.
Okay.
So 79, 79, 81 again. So they might just be going through a cooler weather, but I mean 81 is that's still pool weather,
especially for us Midwestern.
That's shit. I'm sweating.
Yeah,
and probably
we're getting hammered. Yeah, exactly. I need to see how. I think you have to like rent out a cabana though, or like you can't just like show up and pick I think everything has to be.
Well, we're going with Steve.
Out.
I'm sure that's going to be.
Ideally, he's going to have like a whole section, but I'm speaking out of turn. I don't know like the costs and everything. I just would really like to be a part of it.
Yeah. It'd be nice to just get. Well, for one, it gives us something to do during the day, versus because then Saturday be college football, which I personally don't really care about. But
I would probably not be as Sunday. I would want like the cabana. Saturday, okay,
dude,
maybe
food, all the food you could eat. Oh yeah, my god!
I want like my dream scenario is like
a buffet.
I guess the games I think start at like 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock a.m. Yeah.
That's so sexy, by the way.
Yeah.
And just like show up. And we don't leave until Sunday night, like until like 8 o'clock. Like we're 8 hours there,
Yep. And you just eat like have a buffet or just like food catered, and just eat and drink all fucking. I mean that plane ride home, I'm fucking out.
It just sounds like heaven.
I might have to leave on a Monday just in case because I'm gonna have to fucking.
No, I'm gonna have to clear the tank before I go anywhere.
That plane's gonna take off, and I'm just gonna shit myself. Like
I remember my buddy. Once told me it was after his birthday party, like Steven anyway. I don't know if he's listening, but not Steve, another Steve. And he we got hammered on his birthday, and he flew to Colorado or something. I think he told me when he landed, all of a sudden he started puking. He covered his mouth with his hands like this, and it started projectile going out
on the plane.
Yeah.
When did he get the bag?
I don't know. And I remember him telling me the guy looked at him like he's an asshole, and he was like, "Fuck you" to the. I don't know if he actually said "fuck you" to the guy, but he's offended. I'm like, that guy should have beat the fuck out of you. Yeah. I'm like, you puked on him. Maybe I mixed up the story, but oh my god.
That's retaliation for when our other buddy spit Cheetos at him.
I forgot about it. Again, he should have beat the fuck out of him. Yeah, that is actually worse because in his defense, he couldn't control.
Right, that's your body.
The other guy was being a dick.
Yeah. But anyways, Brad, you can fuck yourself. Yeah, actually, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Brad.
Oh, yeah. Hey, for your birthday, why don't you go fuck yourself?
Yeah. Do it really good. Yeah. And we'll see you next week.